Welcome back to this episode of the Bearded Nerd Podcast, where I help new players and GMs learn, play, and grow their love for tabletop RPGs. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a brilliant world-building idea at 2 a.m. only to forget it the next morning? Or maybe you started a map, wrote a dozen city names, and then couldn't remember where you put, notebook or that file? Yeah, me too. World building is one of the most exciting but overwhelming parts of being a GM. And if you're juggling real-life responsibilities such as work, family, limited prep time, being a dad, being a mom, right? Then keeping your campaign world organized can feel like its own full-time job. So today on the Bearded Nerd Podcast, we're breaking down my favorite and my top world building tools, the ones that help you stay creative without losing time. From digital wikis to auto-generators, this list is a world building toolkit that you as a time-crunched game master can utilize as effectively as possible. So with that being said, let's make prep easier, faster, and more fun with this episode. Before we dive into the apps, the platforms, and so forth, let's clarify something. Tools do not replace creativity. They enable consistency, recall, and collaboration. The best tools help you keep track of NPCs, factions, and regions. They easily retrieve notes during a session. You can collaborate with players when appropriate. And it should inspire some new ideas when you're feeling stuck. These world-building tools aren't about controlling your narrative or anything like that. They're about giving you confidence and clarity, especially as a busy professional, a busy parent. If you fit those categories, this is for you. And with this list, I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons and, everything in between. A big thing that I want to warn you about and to give a disclaimer on is that I am tech agnostic, meaning I am not going to be sponsored or anything by any of these companies. I'm not endorsed by any. These are just companies that I've used or that I've researched and that I know other GMs have used in their own prep or in their own world building, and they enjoy it. So with that being said, let's dive into the first part, which will be best overall tools for GMing and world notes. The first tool, World Anvil. World Anvil is a digital campaign manager that acts like a wiki for your world. You can create articles for NPCs, locations, magic systems, timelines, organizations, and a lot more. Why I think it's great is because it's built specifically for TTRPGs. You can create timelines and family trees that connect everything and show the connectivity. You can connect articles together like a web, right? Like a spider web, and everything's interconnected. And you can give players access to selected content. So let's say you are having new players enter your table. You are, figuring out what their character is, and they say they want to be a dragonborn barbarian. Well, you would give them access to the part of the world that is for dragonborns, let them read it and figure it out and go from there. You can give them limited access so that they only know a high-level overview of what dragonborns would need to know, right? Versus, they know, the king of the Dragonborn country. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're just a remote nomadic tribe that could not care less about that. But you can still give them access to it if you want. It's up to you. The only thing is that the interface can feel overwhelming at first. So you got to give yourself time to learn it. Let's say you're a busy professional. You could learn this while you're taking your lunch breaks, right? Especially if you work from home. You can kind of switch from work mode to GM mode and take your lunch break to teach yourself how to use this via YouTube. You could essentially, if let's say you're a busy mom or a busy dad, you're giving the baby a bottle, or maybe you're just at a break at work. This is the time where you are going to kind of put in that research and development on World Anvil on those lunch breaks or just whatever breaks you get. That's the kind of downtime that you're going to need in order to understand World Anvil. Now, for folks who aren't parents or just busy and you have the time in the world, hey, that's great. But there's still a bit of a learning curve. So just keep an eye out for that. The second tool that I want to talk about is called Notion. It is a clean drag and drop workspace where you can create custom databases, templates, checklists, and pretty much everything else. You can tag and link NPCs, session notes, and cities all together. Another great thing about Notion is that it's accessible from your phone, your desktop, or your tablet. And there's a lot of capability for collaborative campaigns. The only thing that I have a bit of a raised eyebrow at with Notion is that it's less fantasy themed and it's just more of a blank state. Think of it like OneNote, right? OneNote's not fantasy themed. It's really not meant for Dungeons and Dragons. It's meant for everything. But once you have it set up, it's very powerful to use. Same thing with Notion. Once you have it set up the way you want, it is a very powerful tool that you will have in your toolbox. Number 3, Obsidian. Obsidian is a markdown-based note-taking app that allows you to link ideas and articles in a, quote, knowledge web or in a graph view. So the great reason that I would recommend this is because it's offline first, it's very fast, and it's minimal. It's really good at connecting plot threads and relationships together alongside theories. And lastly, it's backed up locally. So if you're like me who has a background in InfoSec, or you're just a security or privacy conscious person, that is really awesome for you. Now, the downside or the cautionary tale I would tell you is that it requires some sort of knowledge on Markdown or some sort of, experience or minimal experience with interfaces. But the graph view is incredible for lore mapping. And honestly, with Markdown, it's an HTML-based language, so you could honestly have ChatGPT run everything in Markdown and you'd be okay. Now, for best tools for map making, cities, regions, dungeons, things like that, the number one contender, in my opinion, is Inkarnate. That is hands down my favorite. I use Inkarnate all the time. Inkarnate, as I've said before, is a fantasy map-making platform where you can build gorgeous overland, regional, and city maps as well as battle maps using drag-and-drop assets. So, it has a clean UI and it has beautiful results. That's number one reason I would use it. Second, there are multiple modes. So you have a city view, you have a region view, you have a world view. Each view you can do in either parchment or more realistic. You have battle maps, you have watercolor, you pretty much have everything of that. And then you have your sci-fi and your fantasy genres. So all those views, all those stylistics, you have different variations and versions of it for each genre with continuous uploading and updating. And I love this because I use it for my in-game reveals, for handouts, for maps, pretty much for anything that I want to give to my players. The only caution that I would say is that the free version has limits on it. It's still very usable, but the paid version is $25, I believe, a year, which again, it's a steal. Like you're literally taking this and running out the door like you just robbed a bank. This is probably one of the best platforms out there. I love them to death. The next one is Wadabo City Generator. It's basically an instantaneous top-down map that you can create. It's a fantasy town with streets, walls, districts, labels, everything. It's a one-click generation. It's perfect in a pinch. It includes tavern maps, dungeon layouts, and the shape of the actual houses. And it's free and browser-based. So literally you can type in Wadabo and you will kind of be surprised that you can just go and make some pretty cool stuff. The only thing I would recommend, or just give you a heads up on, is that it's a limited customization. But who cares? If you really love spontaneous towns and just kind of keeping players wandering, this is perfect. Next, there is Dungeon Scrawl. Dungeon Scrawl is a simple, powerful tool to create grid-based dungeon maps in a hand-drawn style. It's extremely fast to build. You can easily export it to Roll20 or just print them out. You can even download them as a PDF and then export it to your VTT of choice. And there's the Fog of War option and the labeling feature that's already built in. The downside, it's built for speed. It's not ultra polished. It's nothing fancy in that regard. But that's the beauty of it. It's reminiscent of old school fantasy where you had grid paper, a pencil, and an eraser, and you just went to town. It's great. I love it. It's really something that you should look into, especially as a game master, if you want to build dungeons and do dungeon crawls. And let's be honest, if you're not interested in having dungeon crawls, you could still use it to make like a map of the tomb that your players are exploring. And you could just, kind of have them there as handouts. And again, it's free. So there's no harm in having something that's free. Before I get into the last part of this episode, I want to take the time to thank our sponsor, Dungeon Soap. Dungeon Soap is a fantasy-themed skincare company. They are an American-made or American-based company where Zach, the man behind Dungeon Soap, makes these handcrafted skincare products for us nerds. It is phenomenal what he does. The products that he makes are awesome. He's all about transparency, equality, and sustainability. It's one of the things that drives his decisions behind Dungeon Soap. All their ingredients are sustainably sourced, cruelty-free, and the shipping is carbon neutral. So I just absolutely love it. They do not use plastics. They use cardboard containers. And at the end of the day, it's literally the same price as other soap brands out there. And it's for us nerds who are environmentally conscious. I personally like the Paladin, go figure, and the Barbarian, again, go figure. Those are my two favorites. The Paladin is a mountain air patchouli amber musk with sweet spices. I absolutely love it. And with the code of Bearded10, you get 10% off of your entire order, and it helps the podcast. It pays the light, so to speak. So again, use Bearded10 at checkout, and the link is below. With that being said, let's get to the final part of this episode. All right, folks, the moment you've been waiting for. These are the best tools for generators and not just any generators, but name, plot, and item generators. You can't go wrong with fantasy name generators. It is the name of the website, but it generates literally names for fantasy races, cities, ships, magic items, NPCs, everything. And it covers so many genres: elves, dwarves, cyberpunk, Lord of the Rings, anime, manga, Naruto, like everything that you can imagine. You could use it mid-game when your players say, "Hey, we want to talk to the bartender. What's their name?" You have them roll a couple of rolls and you generate a name and boom, you got it right there. There's really no downside. If you're really comfortable with improv and things of that nature, you'll love this. And if you're not comfortable with improv, hey, you got a generator to help you with it. From there, Don John Tools. It's a retro feel typey site packed with random generators. It's got dungeons, treasure hoards, inns, quests, calendars, NPCs, and more. It's great for old school Renaissance or OSR style games and sandboxy campaigns. It has a calendar tool for your own in-game months and sessions. Its dungeon generator feature can actually autofill traps and treasures, so it's randomized and it feels more authentic. Lastly, Perchance Generators is home to thousands of niche fan-made generators. Basically, from cursed item tables to underwater city names, you could basically just build your own generator and boom, you're good. What I like about this is that it's highly specific. It sparks creativity. You can modify, mix, basically however you please. And it's great for weird prompts on the fly. Again, this is a really good creative tool, so leverage it as you will. And here's kind of the way I would use this from like my workflow perspective, right? When I run my campaigns, world notes are awesome. You need something for world notes. You need something that's flexible, and you need something that is going to work for your style. Notion is really good about that. You can also use OneNote. From a mapping perspective, hands down, Inkarnate is great for visual, beautiful towns. And Dungeon Scroll is really good for fast ruins, fast making, generating dungeons. If you need a quick name, Fantasy Name Generator is the top dog. Random content to fill in, the kind of like cavities of your session, Don John, 100% recommend. And then from a campaign hub, you need either a Notion page or World Anvil. Again, that is kind of my workflow as is, and it will be updating because every year I go through a bit of a self-audit on technology to see what is the best and most effective tools. But again, that is neither here nor there. Start small. Add only what you'll actually use. If I can give you the best advice that was given to me, is just let the tools support your storytelling. Don't replace it with the tools. So whatever tool helps you tell a story, just use that. Because GMs often feel like we have to remember everything. But the truth is you don't. You just need the right tools to help you stay on track, stay creative, and save time. So World Anvil, Notion, Inkarnate, they're just apps, right? They're tools, though, for your imagination. Now, if you want the full list, the workflow, recommendations, links, you can download the World Building Toolkit on Patreon, and you can kind of take your time building your own toolkit. But for now, build boldly, prep simply, and as always, keep gaming.